Does Paw Patrol encourage our kids to embrace capitalism? You may be thinking this is satire, that this is just a joke. Well, unfortunately, guys, this isn't a joke, this is real. Criminology professor Liam Kennedy argues the popular children's TV show has few redeeming qualities. Who are we employing in our universities, and how can we get them out of there? Remember people, your taxes are going into this guy's wages. Your taxes fund his course, fund his university that he works at. You should be outraged at this. Liam Kennedy's 2-year-old son isn't allowed to watch Paw Patrol. For those of you who don't know what Paw Patrol is, if any of you don't have kids or you don't work in shops or anything like that, if you're not familiar with Paw Patrol, basically Paw Patrol is a children's cartoon about 3 dogs, I think, maybe 4, where they basically are different parts of the emergency services. So one is a fireman, one is, I think, a police officer, one is a medic. Maybe not all of them emergency services, like one looks like a builder, maybe he's actually an aid worker, and they basically patrol this village, making sure that everybody in harm. They save people, they're heroes basically, and they have loads of technology and gadgets that they use to save the people that they want to save. I think, I might be wrong, I don't have kids, I don't watch this show, I'm 26 years old, why would I? That is the extent of my knowledge. I might be totally wrong, but it's just a kids show, alright? It's about saving people and learning the right lessons. Typical kids TV kind of thing. But apparently, it's capitalist propaganda. But you know what? Let's dive into this. Let's see the real reasons why Mr. Kennedy's son, who's 2 years old, and I'm already feeling very sorry, because not only is it a 2-year-old person, it's a 2-year-old boy. And I bet Liam Kennedy is a male feminist, and his wife is probably a feminist. Kids who have Marxist and feminist parents are just... they've got it so hard in life. He has now internalised my feelings about the series and knows that we don't in fact watch Paw Patrol in our house, said the King's University College professor in an interview with London Morning's Rebecca Zandbergen. A 2-year-old has apparently managed to internalise the feelings of a Marxist professor about why he doesn't watch Paw Patrol. The poor kid just wants to watch his cartoons in the morning. Because Kennedy has took one look at it and thought, capitalist propaganda. It's just capitalist propaganda. What more can I say? I mean, I don't know how a 2-year-old even understands this, but apparently a 2-year-old understands this. Kennedy, on the other hand, has spent a lot of time watching the wildly popular children's series in his office at work, dissecting what he sees as the show's underlying messages. The outcome of that research has just been published in the journal Crime Media Culture. It's called Whenever There's Trouble, Just Yelp for Help. Crime, conservation, and corporatization in Paw Patrol. This is where your tax money is going to, guys. Let me reiterate that. Your taxes are going to fund this useless garbage. We're not learning about the deep, innermost workings of a psychopath's mind. We're not looking into new ways of trying to spot and deal with crime. No, we're dealing with what Paw Patrol may or may not be about, the subtext of Paw Patrol. This is something that media studies majors should be dealing with. Instead, it's a criminology professor, somebody who's meant to be an expert in his field, deciding to do a essay, a journalistic entry on something that, to me, has nothing to do with his topic. How did this guy become a criminologist? He clearly doesn't seem like one to me. Paw Patrol, an animated series that began in 2013, is about a group of do-good dogs who are led by a 10-year-old boy named Ryder. Together they rescue various people who find themselves in tricky situations. The show has spawned a run on franchise toys, as well as a travelling stage show. There you go. It's just about dogs and the person, I think, who go out there and save people. That's literally what it is. It's trying to teach kids to always help people, I assume. But of course, in the communist society, we don't help people. We send them to the gulags. I'll start with a depiction of the state. The state gets a cartoon show. Mayor Humdinger and Mayor Goodway. They have 2 mayors. Kind of the representatives of the state or the government are portrayed negatively, Kennedy explained. Are you sure this is actually capitalist propaganda? Because the top dogs, the pigs, the 1%, are portrayed negatively. Surely this is a left-wing thing, but I digress. Mayor Humdinger is portrayed as unethical or corrupt. Mayor Goodway as hysterical, bumbling, incompetent. Again, I don't see any issues here. You should be embracing this, but apparently, no. Even though the 1% are actually really bad in this TV show, apparently, no, it's capitalist propaganda. Plus, Kennedy takes issue with Paw Patrol as a kind of stand-in for a government-funded police force. Oh, so because they're not state-funded, because they're not an arm of the state, they're doing this out of their own free will, it's their own company, we have an issue here. Wow, okay, interesting. I would argue that Paw Patrol, as a private corporation, is used to help provide basic social services in the Adventure Bay community. He's looking too deep into this. I don't know if there even are police and firemen and emergency services already within their area or whatever, but we already have private security, private hospitals. We already have a lot of these things. And also, the only way that they can perhaps tell the story that they want to tell and allow them to use this technology that they have, and I assume build themselves, is if they're kind of like Batman in a way. But again, he's looking too much into this. I don't even watch the show. I'm not his demographic, and neither is he. That's problematic, in that the Paw Patrol creators are sending this message that we can't depend on the state to provide these services. One, they're not. It's just a small village. All they're saying is these people go around and help people. They're not saying that we can't rely on the state to provide these services, that we can't depend on them, which I find very interesting that you find this problematic, which a typical communist would, wouldn't they? You would think, as a leftist, that saying don't depend on the state, don't allow the state to run your life, don't allow them to take your rights as problematic. Of course you do. You want the state to control our lives further and to provide everything for us and force us to pay taxes to fund these things. Not to mention, Ryder should be in school, Kennedy added. Well, yeah, of course he should be in school. But whatever, it's a TV show. It's a silly cartoon for kids who aren't in school either. Most of them are like below school age that watch this. I know, in jobs that I have had, I have sold these kinds of merchandise to kids. They're always at least under 4. Sometimes above the age of 5, usually under the age of 4. And they're not usually in school, they're in nursery. Kennedy said, it's possible that these kinds of messages affect the children who watch the programme. I just think that as time goes on, children might be less likely to critique the capitalist system that causes environmental harm in the first place and reproduces inequality. Well, never mind the fact that in China, they're the ones who pollute the earth the most out of every single country, bar none. Never mind the fact that they also produce inequality, sending in the Uyghurs into concentration camps. They kill Buddhists, Taoists. Never mind the fact that that's what communist countries have done since 1917. Well, no, it's the capitalist countries that are the worst at that. Never mind the fact that in communist countries, inequality is even worse, that environmental damage is even worse. Apparently, a 2-year-old might somehow be less likely to critique the capitalist system by watching Paw Patrol. I mean, I don't know about you, but capitalism is not a worldview. It is an economic system, and it means the people, funnily enough, the people own the means of production, not the state, not a corporation that runs everything, or a syndicate as you would call it, but the people, normal people. We have the ability to go out there, create our own businesses, create our own factories and things like that, and we own the means of production, and people can take their labour wherever they want within this country that is capitalist, work for them, and then maybe they can learn how to set up their own business and they become business owners, or they take over the business from the person who may be retiring. Apparently, that's bad. We should have the workers owning the means of production, which simply means the state. Again, I'm digressing, let's move on. And then they quote this idiot, this apparently non-blue checkmark, saying, "Attention parents, stop exposing your children to Paw Patrol's neoliberal hellscape." But what about the "no job is too big, no pup is too small" message so often quoted on the show? Kennedy has a problem with that too. So apparently, instilling a work ethic into kids is bad, and telling them that no matter how small you are, you can still do it. You can go out there and achieve your dreams. You can help people. No job is too small for you. Apparently, that's really bad. That's a really bad message. To me, that's an individualist message. Pull up your bootstraps. You can do it if you just try hard enough. That kind of message ignores structural barriers in our society, and not everyone can do it, he said. Oh, individualism, it's so bad. It teaches people to be self-reliant, to go out there and achieve their dreams by, using hard work and graft, which is what humans have had to do since time immemorial. It's the only way you can make a success of yourself. And of course, he always mentions the ever vague structural barriers. I'd like to know exactly what these structural barriers are in Canada, but apparently they exist. I'd like to know what they are, who they are barring, and how do we go about dealing with this. And even then, after you get rid of these barriers, then what? How are people meant to make a success of it? There's no barriers now. Are you just going to hand them the manager's job? Are you going to hand them the CEO's job? No, they have to work for it. That's what you have to do. Because this guy doesn't believe in that. He believes in gifts and hand-me-outs. That's what he believes in. He thinks that success can just be given to people when it's not. Success is not given, it is earned. But I can concede that that is only in the most idealistic situations. There are, of course, people who don't become successful by working hard. But that can be for many different reasons. But here are 2 reasons. One, they're not very good. That's just simple as. They're not talented enough. But the second one is nepotism. Success without hard work can usually be given because of nepotism. Somebody gave you the job. And that's what you want. You want more nepotism. You want more state handouts of jobs. That's what you want. And that's harmful for society. Creates incentives that will reduce people's ability to produce. Will reduce people's incentives to work hard. It will actually increase people's resentment. Kennedy admits his Paw Patrol deep dive may not be palatable to all parents and children. No, it's complete and utter lunacy of the highest order. It's craziness. Some people roll their eyes. I think it's a serious message, but I also want to have fun in my job. So this was fun. He just did it for fun. Never mind the fact that he's a lunatic communist who is convinced that children's cartoons are trying to foster capitalistic feelings within children, as if that's a bad thing. Because, as we can see, communism kills millions of people, ruins economies and societies, and leaves countries ruined and destroyed, and take decades to build up. Eastern Europe is still recovering. Russia is still recovering. Loads of African countries are still under the boot heel of Marxists, like Zimbabwe, where they're suffering from hyperinflation, all sorts, and Cuba as well is still suffering. When originally it was a up-and-coming Caribbean island, but now it is a communist hellhole. But hey, at least the doctors are well trained, right? What more is there to say about this, guys? People in Canada, I feel sorry for you. I feel really sorry for you because your tax dollars are going into this. Paying this guy to teach your children and to create these useless journals. He's meant to be a criminologist. He's meant to be helping us understand criminals, but he's not. Instead, he's doing media studies essays, and bad ones at that. But anyway, guys, I'll leave it there and I'll see you later.